Hello to all our viewers, and welcome to Using Validated Noon Data for Accurate ETA and Emissions in Voyage Management. Today's webinar is brought to you by our sponsors, Coach Solutions. Joining us today are Alexandra Bielski, Customer Success Manager from Coach Solutions, and Jonathan McLean, CTO of Nextvoyage. They'll be leading a half-hour presentation followed by a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, please do leave them in the Q&A section and also upvote on questions. Here's our CEO, Carl Jeffrey, to begin the talk.
So our topic today is how we can automatically check or validate Noon report data sent by vessels so we can get a high-quality structured data set that's ready to import into voyage management software or any other software. Then the data can be used to support decision-making. So, it's customary for captains to email a report to their office at noon every day, probably with vessel location, fuel consumption, speed, estimated arrival time. But the Noon report data is entered manually, so it's prone to error. And an error might lead to the company giving the charter bad data about when the vessel will arrive or how much carbon it's emitted. And that could have contractual implications or lead to the wrong decisions being made. So we're going to learn today how Noon report data can be validated with software from Coach Solutions. They're a vessel performance software company based in Copenhagen. They've got onboard software which can be set up by the crew in minutes. They can enter data into a form. The crew can add unstructured data such as notes about deviations from instructions and the reasons for that. The data is sent by email, and Coach has a system which can check the data against 120 validation points. So cargo data, position, distance, consumption and speed, and check it against hourly AIS data, historic weather data and specific fuel models for the ship. So we're going to have a case study about an integration between Coach Solutions and Nextvoyage. Nextvoyage is a chartering and voyage operations software company in Singapore. So we're going to hear today from Alexandra Bielski, Customer Success Manager with Coach Solutions, and Jonathan McLean, CEO of Nextvoyage. They'll give us a talk of about 25 minutes, then we'll take your questions. So I'd like to invite Alexandra and Jonathan to start their talk.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Let me begin our presentation. Okay. So yes, we'll start our webinar on talking about using validated Noon report data for more accurate ETA and emissions calculations in voyage management. So first of all, a little bit about who are we? So for the last 14 years, we have been providing SaaS solutions to the shipping company here at Coach Solutions. We're specialized in the bulk and tank market, and we have a range of customer types. So we have charterers, owners, technical managers using us, and we're providing data, performance, and weather routing solutions built on a wealth of experience and knowledge. We have a number of industry experts that are working for us who are ready to provide customer specialized support. So kind of what is our service offering, just as a bit of a background? We have three main products: Valid Data, our Noon reporting tool; Valid Voyage, our weather routing service; and Valid Performance, which is our technical performance monitoring service. Valid Data is the foundation of our product offering and of today's webinar. Valid Voyage is our advanced algorithm-based optimization service. We provide routing with a number of commercial target options, which helps to keep voyages and vessels safe whilst ensuring the business needs of the voyage are met. And we have specialized support teams which are on hand to help with these services. And finally, Valid Performance, that's our more technical monitoring service. It helps provide you with updated views of the vessel's performance. It helps to highlight if the vessel's potentially fouled. It ensures efficient running of machinery. And we have an expert performance team, which runs monthly performance meetings with our clients to help discuss any findings that we find. So this is just kind of a little bit of a background about who we are. So now I'll let Jonathan introduce Nextvoyage.
Thanks, Alex. So hi, I'm Jonathan, CTO of Nextvoyage. So a little bit about Nextvoyage. We provide commercial management teams at bulk shipping companies with modern freight management solutions. These are often also called voyage management solutions. And so it's a system that is designed to help manage a company's workflow, starting from chartering and contract capture, all the way through to voyage operations, voyage accounting, and also market risk management. And our goal as a voyage management solution is to build a sustainable solution that remains cost effective while helping you with all of your major workflows. So you may be familiar with the general concepts of a voyage management system. There are multiple voyage management systems in the market. And so again, to emphasize really what Nextvoyage is trying to achieve is we're trying to achieve goals around cost efficiency as well as quick deployment for our clients. And that's because we feel there is a need in the market for solutions that companies can commit to long-term, as well as get up and running very, very quickly. And so the way that we achieve those goals for our clients is first off by leveraging our team's market experience to implement effectively out-of-the-box workflows so that when you deploy Nextvoyage, the system is already designed with industry-leading workflows so that you can feel confident that the data is going to move through the system the way it will move through your organization. We also build on a modern cloud platform. And so what that means is that you're able to log into the system very quickly. There are no IT tasks necessary to get our system up and running. And you can feel confident that your data will be secure and accessible over multiple platforms. And then lastly, by maintaining a very controlled scope, using those best practice workflows, by leveraging the scale of the cloud, we hope to offer what we call inclusive pricing. And so the idea is that having a voyage management system is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. Being able to integrate with other solutions, such as our friends at Coach, again, is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity, driven by things like regulations. And so in order to do that, products need to be able to meet all clients' budgetary concerns. And so we want to be able to offer a traditional voyage management system for as many clients as who need it. If you are less familiar with a traditional voyage management system, I'd like to emphasize some of the features that we would offer. So we focus first in the chartering space. Some might call it a module. And that is where you're going to perform any voyage calculations, evaluate multiple business scenarios. It's where you will capture your time charter contracts, your cargo contracts. You'll do your EU ETS and emissions analysis. And you'll be able to link into multiple distance providers to understand the cost of your voyages and sailings. And then all of the data that you enter into the chartering module will, of course, flow seamlessly into what we would call voyage operations. Voyage operations is where you'll update the actual data of the voyage, or in the case of a situation like integrating with Coach, the system will update it for you automatically. And then that will naturally drive a real-time profit and loss calculation of voyage P&L so that you can see in real time what are going to be your costs or revenues for this voyage. When you have those costs, we also have additional tools for capturing things such as your lay time, your hire statements, your freight. All of that turns into transactional invoices, and that flows into our voyage accounting. So you need to be able to do all of your double entry ledger accounting. And so Nextvoyage provides you with a ledger. We provide you with a chart of accounts. We work with your accounting teams to understand your posting rules. And you're able to then track any outstanding accounts receivable, accounts payable, and you can update that with your cash management so that you know when your transactions are actually closed. And then it also helps the system to automate your automatic monthly journals so that you can do your accruals. And all of that information then integrates into back-end financial systems such as SAP, Microsoft Business Central, and others. Underlying all of that are our risk management tools so that as you are calculating and entering forward contracts, you're able to track things such as your forward physical exposure. You can also track any market risk that you might have, any price risk that you might have, and you can enter any cash flow management tools like FFAs, bunker hedges, to help manage that risk and track all of it in a singular risk report. And we can also integrate with other leading risk management tools as well. Thanks, Alex.
Okay, so how can you kind of start optimizing your fleet? Well, the first step is to make sure you have high quality validated data. I think we all know that we need good quality data. And we know that in order to get good results, you need that good data and you need a solid starting point. The second step is making sure that this data is in the right places. So this can be achieved with quick and easy integrations, such as the one we have with Nextvoyage. And in principle, this is really fast, quick, easy to set up so that it's ready to go, essentially kind of like a plug and play. We're both fairly standardized to make it easy to integrate, and this allows people to immediately feel the benefits. So what are consequences of poor data quality, and how do we prevent that? So poor data quality can cause a number of issues. I think we all know that. Heavy manual work is needed in correcting reports. There can be a lot of back and forth during this type of procedure, different parties needing to be involved. It can create frustration. It means excessive time is being spent on correcting the reports, rather than being able to use that really good data in a productive way. This can lead to issues with performance claims, emissions reporting, and it often means everyone is looking at different data and no one is on the same page. This ultimately leads to the wrong data being used and therefore having the wrong starting points when you're thinking about optimizing the vessels, both on individual levels and on fleet levels. So this, at the end of the day, will lead to increased costs and the correct decisions cannot be made. So we need a good starting point, and the starting point of good data is onboard the vessel. So Coach Onboard, this is our Noon reporting client. It's easy and quick to install on the vessels, and our installation file is sent by email. We have a support team who's ready to support the vessels as needed with this installation and also with questions to do with the actual reporting. This means that even short-term TC vessels can use it. We have a number of standardized fields included in here and validations, but it's possible to adjust the level of our validations without changing the standardization. So this means that if we have an optimization vessel, we maybe need slightly less validations than a performance vessel would need. This helps prevent frustration building on board when they're maybe needing to report more fields than is necessary. So the layout and the flow is designed to be easy to use by the crew to help make daily reporting as simple as possible. So we want to avoid there being an excessive number of reports for them to fill out. Our validation warnings are immediate, so typos and missing data can be pointed out to the vessels prior to them actually sending the report. And this allows for them to correct the data at the time, rather than needing to spend time much later in the process, going back, checking, making those necessary changes. So this is where we have our 120 validation points, which are available, which check to make sure that the reported figures are in line with the vessel specifications, what was reported the day before, what else is being reported on that particular day, and also make sure that the correct sequence is being used, as this is also really important. So all of this helps to ensure that the data being sent from the vessel at the very beginning is as correct as possible and as accurate as possible. And if we look at how this data is flowing through our different systems, we have to make sure that we have high quality data reaching our customers. So we need to make sure that we have the correct flows. So firstly, as I mentioned, the crew fills out the position reports on Coach Onboard. Immediate validation and sanity checks are performed. This is prior to the data being sent, allowing vessels to correct for typos, add any missing data, and this allows for them to do it in the moment rather than needing to do it later on. So this saves time. This daily report is then emailed to Coach. It's received by our shore servers, where we have a second level of validations that is run. So we use AIS data to check to make sure that the reported position and the reported distance is correct. So if we find any inconsistencies, we'll send a message back to the crew asking for them to make any necessary updates. This is done at the time of sending, so it helps to make sure that the crew can make corrections when it's still fresh in their minds, when it's not months or days later, and when it might not even be the same crew on board. So this makes sure that we're getting correct data at the actual time. Then, once these reports have reached shore, we have a number of kind of semi-automated checks that we're also doing. These are run by our support team. So they ensure we don't have any missing reports. There's no additional corrections which need to be done. This makes sure that we have continuous high quality data with no gaps, and therefore we have the correct sequence. This data is then always available on our Coach Online platform, so our customers can use it. And it's using a number of our own internal calculations shown in our dashboards. And then it's also pushed to our partners, for example, Nextvoyage, and any other integrations that we have. And valid data is a foundation for our other services as well. Like I said, pretty obvious, but good data gives good results. Having validated data allows for us to ensure that, for example, our vessel model is up to date. So we're always reflecting the vessel's current performance. This allows us to help keep track of that vessel's performance in real time. This allows us to provide information on if the vessel's potentially fouled, if there potentially could be better best management practice employed on board. So if we identify areas where the vessel is consuming maybe, for example, extra unnecessary bunkers, such as by running additional auxiliary engines, this helps our customers save money through easy onboard habit changes. Having this solid data foundation is also key for voyage optimization. So not only are we making sure that the vessel model is reflecting the vessel's actual current performance, but it also ensures that the best to date parameters are being used in our future calculations. So if we know where the vessel is, that is key for making sure that we have the correct weather forecast so that we can suggest the safest and most efficient route. And knowing how much the vessel is consuming and how much she has consumed and how she's currently performing is key for making sure that we continue to suggest the correct consumption. This will help make savings up front by keeping voyage costs down. It also ensures that the calculated ETA is as accurate as possible and that we can maintain the commercial target of the voyage. It will also allow for you to make appropriate changes as well. So if you need to update the target, or maybe we need to update the speed consumption instruction. So additionally, for both our valid voyage and our valid performance customers, having this accurate, solid data foundation base is also vital for tracking vessels' emissions. We provide ETS and Fuel EU reports to help keep our customers monitoring their fleet emissions and increase the efficiency of the fleet. So, as mentioned, really super important for emissions reporting. This is particularly relevant now, and it has been so for the last few years. We have a number of reports and dashboards which are available, which help our customers track emissions. The validated data is what feeds these reports and ensures that they're accurate. We have our ETS and Fuel EU report. This gives you an easy overview of the fleet. It allows you to see how the vessels are trading and therefore what the estimated carbon credit cost might be. It gives transparency to all stakeholders. It helps avoid disputes because if we have accurate data, we're more likely to have, for example, matching results and everybody be on the same page. We also include Fuel EU compliance balances in our report, and we have a summary on the front page, which shows the fleet overview. So this helps customers with planning needs. This report can be really helpful during discussions between parties. It helps ensure that the correct costs are calculated. It can be used as a reference report. And these figures can also be lifted and entered into Nextvoyage to help ensure that the same monitoring data is used everywhere. So, as mentioned, we're using this validated data in a number of different ways. It goes through a number of checks from the initial point of the crew filling out the data on board. There's a number of sanity and quality checks done to make sure the reported data are of the highest standard, so that when it's reaching shore, there's as little corrections that need to be done as possible. This data is then flowing seamlessly through our integration to Nextvoyage. As we have fairly standardized reporting specifications, the integration to Nextvoyage is simple, relatively pain-free to set up. And once it's turned on, no additional steps are needed. So you can always make sure that you're having all of the data being reported by all the vessels show up in the system. Once the report is available, the operator just needs to approve that report. There's no need for any manual inputting. This reduces mistakes, it saves valuable time, so you don't need to make manual inputs, but you also don't need to do manual corrections either. And it's ensuring that the same high quality validated data is being used in both systems, and this leads to less confusion, greater efficiency, and once the data is confirmed and in Nextvoyage, it will update the bunker consumption and corresponding P&L.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. So Alex explained all the hard stuff, which is how do you validate 120 data points? And I think really the beauty of kind of modern noon reporting solutions such as Coach really is all of the work that she's just explained that goes into validating that data. Because I think, you know, in 2025, this isn't a new idea of getting noon reports into a voyage management system. I'm sure people on this call have attended other webinars like this scattered over the past few years for sure. And so I guess one of the things would be is what's really different in 2025, what's different today about all of that. And I think firstly, it's that just the sophistication of these validations. I think one of the things that has always been a factor that causes people to hesitate about getting noon report data into a voyage management system like Nextvoyage has been the cleanliness of the data, the accuracy of that data. And I think that the reality is that that is much less of a problem these days. And it couldn't have come at a more appropriate time, because we all know that the industry is under increasing reporting pressure with these new regulations that are already in effect under EU ETS, Fuel EU, and there's just going to be more and more regulations coming in. And these all have, you know, a really direct impact not only on the workload of the vessel, and so by having a single source of truth coming off the vessel, such as Coach, that helps really significantly reduce the workload on the vessel, but then it also helps reduce the workload in the office. Because, you know, as Alex said, when a system like Nextvoyage is receiving one standardized data source, really, that makes it very easy for us to start trusting that data source and start really working more with the data that's being given to us, rather than having to take time to figure out all the different possible types of data that could be given to us. And so we're able to trust that data more, and now we're able to do more of these calculations that are becoming increasingly important in the new, increasingly regulated environment. And so what does a system like Nextvoyage do with the data that we receive? Well, I think firstly, when you receive, especially if you're operating a fleet of ships, and if you're operating them for revenue, you want to make sure that your calculations going forward are as accurate as possible. And so as your ship is currently sailing her current business and you're trying to fix the next position, then being able to have trustworthy ROBs for her open position is critical. And that's going to have an immediate impact on any forward cost calculations that you're doing. Just as important as forward calculations are, your current costs are also important. I know accountants are always pestering operations teams. What's our bunker cost going to be for the month? What's our bunker cost going to be for the month? And the reality is, if you can trust the numbers coming in more and more, then you can just let the system feed those numbers to the accountants. And so that helps reduce workload as well, introducing more organizational efficiency. And then the realistic operational monitoring that is going on. I think those are all the data points that Alex discussed already, which is you want to be able to trust the performance of your ship. You want to be able to trust the ETAs. And so knowing that that data has been validated multiple times through multiple channels is very critical. And that ultimately all leads to an overall better profit and loss management. And that's really the goal of Nextvoyage, is to make sure that your overall profit and loss is being managed accurately. And so really that's going to bring us into, this is interesting because I think people on the call are going to be surprised when I say this, but the world's most boring software demo. And that's because when a job is done well and when a job is done right, the job is easy and boring. And I think when we're working with partners who really care about their data, such as Coach, I think that it makes my job very easy and very boring, but the impact of it is obviously felt throughout the organization. And so what you're looking at is a voyage management system, Nextvoyage, and we've got some numbers. I won't go into every field here. If you look, it's sailing a voyage, Kakogawa to Tarahan Cole. And on the right, we've got our P&L, and we're just going to zoom in on that profit and loss, and we're going to see, we're calculating some bunker expenses, specifically about $237,000 in bunker expenses. And that's done basis your ROB and your current estimated consumption values. And then if we kind of progress through the demo, you'll see that in Nextvoyage, you'll also then be able to receive what we call these vessel reports. So there are some noon reports coming in. And this is coming in from Coach. And so you're just going to get a quick summary from Coach. You're going to see, all right, that looks good. It's going to show me some ROBs that are being reported. And all you need to do is go ahead and accept it. Because again, when you've got that level and that sophisticated validation going on, there's really not much else you're going to need to do in the voyage management system. And so you can go ahead and accept that. And then when you accept it, and here's where the really boring part's going to happen, but the really important part is that it's going to have a direct impact on your P&L. And that data is going to flow through, and it's going to immediately impact your P&L. Now, you might say, Jonathan, that's not a huge impact, but what it is it's a realistic impact. It's a real-time impact as well. And so when you start to, and Alex, if you could progress it one more time, when you start to look at that and you start to realize over time that that's going to be captured and the system's going to be snapshotting that data so that you can see how your bunker expenses are changing. And then you can understand, is the ship performing as expected? Can I compare that against warranted performance? Am I calculating really against, if I calculate against warranted performance, am I actually doing myself a disservice because I'm not actually generating accurate numbers? And so by capturing this information in real time, by being able to snapshot it and report on it, you're able to then start saying, all right, well, how am I performing now? Rather than, once she gets at port and you get bunker ROBs on arrival, or at the end of a voyage, and then you have to make performance claims after the fact. Or maybe your EU ETS costs are going to be not as high as you thought they were going to be. And so all of these things are directly impacted by getting this data flow in. And so if you can get the data flow in on a daily basis and you trust that data flow, then you can also take the further steps much more confidently. And I think that's really the goal. And so again, it might be the world's most boring software demo. I do apologize if I put anyone to sleep there. But I think what's extremely important to emphasize is that it's boring because we're able to trust it, because we know it's doing its job. We know that the knock-on workflows we're able to then action immediately without having to second guess ourselves. And that just naturally makes our organizations more efficient and our workflows more efficient.
Exactly. So if you want to onboard our joint solution, it's really quick, easy, and simple. Due to the fairly standard nature of our noon reports and the standard kind of nature with Nextvoyage, this makes switching on integrations really fast. So you can get all of those benefits that Jonathan just mentioned. If you're already a Coach customer, you would just need to know which vessel you would like to test the integration on. And once you're happy, you can roll this instantly out to the full fleet. If you're a new customer, it's super quick and easy to onboard Coach. We send out installation files to the vessels and we help get them started. Then we can proceed with the integration as we've already noted. Onboarding is really efficient as we're partners, so we've made work to make this as simple as possible so that you can focus on all of the other albeit potentially maybe boring things that we've mentioned, and really get on and reap those benefits from having this. If you add more vessels to your fleet, there's no additional work required, and it makes it a really effective solution regardless of your business type. So we have a testimonial from a joint client of ours who has been through this process. Setting up the integration for Falcon was seamless as they were already using both our products. There was minimal input required, no complicated confirmation processes. The nature of this integration and the standard formats we're both using allow for this to be a fairly painless process. Once we had initial talks, activating the integration was easy, and it was a fairly step-by-step process, initially trying it, as mentioned, on one vessel, and then once we're happy, expanding it to the rest of the fleet. So once the integration was up and running, this allowed our valid data to immediately be available in Nextvoyage for Falcon, allowing them to gain all of these benefits. So in summary, how are we helping our customers? How is this validated data being used? So as mentioned, it reduces your workload, both on board for the vessels, whereby they're spending less time correcting data, and on the shore side, where lengthy manual processes are no longer needed. It's used in our performance models, ensuring that the vessel's current performance is reflected in our optimization service and allowing for effective real-time monitoring. It ensures we have accurate calculations. In our weather routing service, this is key for making sure that the optimal route and consumption is suggested, and it ensures that we have the correct foundation, which can then be used on Nextvoyage's side. So making sure that you have accurate cost to date is key for the base for forward estimates. And for those systems we're integrated with, the same data will be showing, helping to have synergy between them. This stops duplicate work. It avoids confusion as you see the same data and the calculations are based on the same starting points. This allows you to make smarter decisions. If you're starting from the right point, you have a clear overview of what's happened to date, and you have better estimates, you can make more informed and more confident decisions. And essentially, this all leads to a better P&L. It helps to maintain your bottom line, and I think this is essentially what we're all really aiming for. So if you like what you heard today, want to join us, feel free to reach out to us. I'm sure this information will be provided afterwards. And now I guess we will open up to questions.
Well, very good. Yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah, so if you'd like to stop the screen sharing, so we've got, well, people think of their questions. So just something that occurs to me, that the context behind this, why would a master make a mistake on a form? I mean, are we talking about like 1 in 1,000 forms of mistakes?
Yeah, so I mean, it could be for a number of reasons. Sometimes it can be just a simple typo. You accidentally press an extra 0 or an extra button here or there. So we can help really easily show those out. Sometimes it could be, like a misreading. There's a lot going on board. They're doing a lot of different processes. So there's a lot of different information being moved around in different places. So it can be easy to potentially make a mistake here or there that we can then quickly pick up and help identify to them.
Oh, very good. Okay, so Saad Salman, we think he's a voyage data analyst with Oceanoc. So that's Bernard Shulter in India. He's asking, how in line is your platform with the recent regulations and upcoming regulations? Oh, this could be, I guess, lots of different parts of your platform this question could apply to. If any specific change is required, how long will it take for the development? Maybe, I don't know if he's talking about new emissions regulations in particular. I guess maybe you should go to Alexander, since I think he's in emissions.
Yeah, so we try to make sure that we're always up to date with the recent regulations, and we keep an eye on what's upcoming. So we will plan to make the updates required. We try to make sure that obviously it's always ready in time, but as they're constantly changing, we try to make sure that we keep our options open, and we're providing the data in the right way to our customers so that they can then also use it. Because obviously, as it keeps changing, we want to make sure that we remain agile so that we can quickly develop and remain in line with all of these new regulations.
Yeah, very good. And got another question for Alexandra. So when we're starting with this, because I imagine crew already say they've got too much, they call it digital paperwork. So if you say we've got yet another form to fill in, you're not going to get a good response. But I suppose that the companies are thinking of this to replace some other things they're using already. Is that kind of how it's normally introduced to companies? Do you think?
Yeah, no, exactly. So yeah, we make sure that we're in line and we can provide the data that's required.
Very good. So Kumar Sundaram, I'm just trying to look you up on LinkedIn. Well, I'm doing that, but how do you help prepare charter party claims using this data? So that's going to Jonathan, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
More about the...
I think what ultimately either Alex's or mine solution would be able to help you do would be to calculate your performance claim. And so then that will allow you to know, are you against warranted or not against warranted? And then from the voyage management's perspective, our job would be to help you capture the financial impact of that claim. So as you're doing your time charter management, you would be able to enter that performance claim against your counterparty, and then that would be reflected in your overall accounting for the time charter. Yeah.
Yeah, on our side, we can provide voyage assessment reports, which help show the estimated time loss or time won and the over/under consumption. And we can help provide detailed weather analysis for these claims and help provide support on our methodology.
Sounds like the software's, that's kind of the easy part. Your software's already set up to do this, so long as the data is accurate, I suppose. That's correct, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. So Amit Mishra, he's with Fleet Performance in Shell in the UK. 2 questions. Do you have a solution for UK emission trading scheme? I think that's for Alexandra. Does your module help in tracking hull clean and other interventions carried out to improve performance? I think that's for Alexandra as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so we would be able to provide support for UK ETS because we're already providing for obviously the EU ETS. I'm assuming it might also mean as well UK MRV because we do provide UK MRV reports. We can also provide IMO DCS reports as well. And in regards to performance and hull performance, yes, part of our performance offering is tracking the vessel's current performance and does this potentially indicate fouling. And then if we get information from our customers on they've had a cleaning or they've done an inspection, we will enter this information into our system. And this is all what helps us provide the evaluations that we're doing and the discussions that we have with our customers. So this is something that's discussed in monthly meetings that we hold.
Wow. Okay. So now we've got a tricky question. Armin Barkwarder. So LinkedIn says he's Global Operations Manager at Zim in Israel. So he's niggling you about how you actually validate things. So how are you going to make sure the fuel consumption is correct? I don't think you said you validated fuel consumption, did you? I can't remember.
Yeah, so it is one of the ones that we provide. So we have a number of different ways. One of the key things that we actually do for fuel consumption is we are checking to what's being reported the day before, and we are checking to the bunkers remaining on board. In order to be in line with Fuel EU, our new reporting system is also actually based on tanks as well, and we have BDN-based reporting. So this also means that we can make quick and easy changes as well to the reports as needed. We have a number of different ways that our validations are set. Some of them are kind of based on the actual vessel specifications. Some of them might be more generalized, but we can also customize them to a certain extent if needed as well. So we have a lot of experience in this, and we're always open to discussing with our customers to make sure that it's in line with what they need.
Wow, very good. So we're going back to Denmark now. I don't know if this is a nasty question from a competitor, Alexandra. So Jakob Clausen, I think he's with Navtor. Can you support with the voyage statement and reclaim emission costs post-voyage or charter period, e.g. EU ETS, Fuel EU? I think you could do all these things, can you? Is it
Yeah, so we have our ETS Fuel EU reports. Obviously, there's always the official information that's provided by the verifiers, but one of the things that our reports can help is kind of a reference report for this to see, does the data look the same? Do the calculations look the same? We also have our team sitting here, so our customer success team and our performance team, who can help our customers with questions that they might have, and we can help kind of dig a little bit into the differences that might be seen between any reports, and really provide that additional support there as well, that additional expertise.
Very good. So we've got a nasty question for you, Jonathan. I think so. Kumar with Anglo Eastern in Singapore. How are you going to align which batch of bunker fuel is it's aligned to which bit of bunker consumption to work out your daily bunker costs?
Yeah, so I mean, from our perspective, bunker costs, we capture all batches separately. So every time you have a batch on your P&L, it's there. It'll store the cost of the batch, where you lifted it from, what emissions. Then when you're doing your EU ETS calculations, we're able to track those batches with different emissions factors. For your fuel EU, we can capture different GHG factors and energy factors. So we do everything at the batch level because that's how you have to do it when you're calculating bunker costs. So absolutely. Yep.
Oh, very good. So yeah, hopefully an easy question for me, but do you see evolution towards standardization in these noonday reports? I mean, I've seen over the last 10 years, some companies have had like ridiculously huge form systems. But I imagine if every company is asking roughly the same questions, that makes all of this a lot easier, even if there's no regulatory standard. But, you know, it sort of evolves naturally. Is this, do you see this sort of trend in the industry of companies having a similar form system? Or?
I would say, I think the first step in standardization is for the software vendors to say, these are the forms and fields you need. You know, and I think it's there have been some efforts made to do that. At Nextvoyage, we've put in an effort to be honest, to reduce the amount of customization. I know that to some people, you know, everything is their own unique proprietary workflow, but that's counterintuitive to our goal. If everything is unique and proprietary, then nothing is scalable and sustainable. And so, you know, I think we try our best to just standardize by also partly just reducing choice. And I know that sounds a weird thing to say, but I think that's the first step towards standardization. And then when there is a strong need for differentiation, then we try to build that in a scalable and sustainable way, or we just expose it for everybody. And so we don't necessarily keep isolated data models, to use a bit of a technology phrasing. And I think that's the first step towards standardization. I think that in terms of just, if we look at it from an industry perspective, we're all capturing the same thing. We're all capturing fresh ROB. We're all capturing slops. We're all capturing ROB per freshwater ROB. We're all capturing ROB per bunker type. So I think all of that's being captured. We're all capturing consumption at auxiliary, main engine, etc. I think that common sense standardization has been achieved. And now I think it's up to the software vendors to say, all right, industry, here's all the fields. You might call it something different, but we are doing a direct mapping to one that already exists. And I think that's where we're at now. So I think that even though there's not necessarily an internationally recognized standardization, I think that we're starting to achieve kind of just a natural standardization for sure. And now it's just up to the software companies to keep it up.
Yeah, well, very good. So Nikolai von Hallas, who's the head of operations for Union Bulk in Denmark, so he wants to get into depth on the integration. When he's asking, how does Nextvoyage handle the EUA costs and fuel EU penalties from the info provided by Coach? I don't know quite, because you're not transferring data about costs and penalties between you. You're just transferring the Noon report data and
right. Yeah. So I think what Nextvoyage is going to do with the EUAs is first off, to be very specific, we capture the estimated provisional cost of the EU ETS and the EUA. So Nextvoyage, we don't do EUA management. We're very happy, as you saw in one of my slides, to remain very focused in our scope, and EUA management is its own scope. So what we're able to do is we're able to capture kind of the estimated cost of those penalties. And with our new Fuel EU functionality that we're working on, we will be able to then pass the Fuel EU penalties on through your invoicing. So you can settle it through your freight invoicing, you can settle it through your hire invoicing, and that is functionality that we are working on at the moment. So I think with the EUA specifically, we're not doing EUA management. That's a fairly large problem area that is outside of our domain, we feel. But with the Fuel EU penalties, we understand that there's a much more immediate need to pass those on. And so we're building that into our feature set.
Yeah, going for that, Alexandra, and also the second part of the question about the biofuel calculations, which gets enormously complicated with all these different emission factors and different fuels. But I think that's your specialist area at Coach, isn't it, handling all this complicated?
Yeah, no, exactly. So like I said, we have BDN-based reporting now. So, and we do a tank-based approach. And so that we are able to try and account for also biofuels and make sure that we also have the correct emission factors for them so they show up correctly on the ETS reports, and also for the prioritized allocation on the Fuel EU calculations as well. So.
Very good. So we're going to Singapore now. Kumar Sundaram with Anglo Eastern. Another question. So this capturing data, so this is for Alexandra, capturing data automatically. I think you mentioned something. You have ways to, if it's possible to get the data automatically, you can do it, can't you? It's not a.
So we can take in sensor data into our system if needed. At the moment, it's not something that then populates the Noon reports. There are some other solutions that we have that could potentially help with this through our connections with like our parent company with Kongsberg. So it was something that we could potentially discuss. But I think that this is definitely something that the industry is looking more and more towards. If the vessel sensor data is properly calibrated, this is something that would help save them a lot of time and help with that additional, layering of making sure that there is the correct vessel data there.
Very good. So this one's for Jonathan. So Jakob from Navtor, I think he's from Navtor again. So asking about when the data changes. So if somebody, I don't know if he means the crew saying, actually, I made a mistake, this should be the right data, or I guess, or the validation service, but you have to update all your software. But I suppose that happens if it's all automatic, that would happen automatically, is it? Or is it?
So at the moment, if there are updates on, for example, the coach side, those updates don't necessarily reflect automatically once the data has been accepted into Nextvoyage. However, obviously knowing that that data is critical for your P&L calculations, you are able to then further adjust the data in Nextvoyage. So, when it comes to the P&L and the data that affects the P&L, once it's in Nextvoyage, we still do allow users to update that. And I think that it's in line with our spirit of trying to get users up and running and using a very straightforward integration. Sometimes when you make integrations too clever, people are afraid to use them because then they feel like, oh, am I going against what the system wants me to do, etc. So for early integrations, we try to keep things very straightforward. When the data comes in, it comes in. If there's a mistake, you can correct it in Nextvoyage. And that's not an issue.
Yeah. Another question I had was about your granularity. I mean, how you make your checks. I mean, a distance is not a binary thing. I mean, they could have a distance that's a few hundred meters out, but it's actually accurate, or the AIS is slightly wrong. But when you've got automated validation, we all had experience with online forms that are too fussy, that somehow won't accept correct information. I mean, I guess it's very difficult to get this right, but I suppose that's what you've been working on, Alexandra, do you think? Is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also on our side, we don't stop vessels sending the data. We try to make sure that we're getting as much correct data as possible, but we don't want to prevent the vessels from sending the data. So we've tried to make them as least kind of intrusive as possible. We do have things like ranges set up. So when we have the AIS distance checks happening, it doesn't call up for every single very small difference there. And also the way that all of our validations are worded and all the way that these confirmations are worded is kind of like a check, because if there is a valid reason that the vessel has reported this, if it is correct, then obviously they don't need to correct it. But the first point is to try and help point out that this doesn't look right, or this isn't potentially right. Can you please correct it, or can you double check it for us? So we do have things in place to make sure that we're not calling up, too many false positives in a sense. So.
Yeah, I mean, your manual staff, Alexandra, and that's quite fascinating because you've got a mixture of automation and people. So you hear about these AIS spoofing when, the AIS thinks the ship is somewhere totally different where it really is. And the crew are saying, look, I'm telling you where the ship is. Why are you checking against this AIS? At that point, you need a human being to come in and say, actually, you're probably right. So,
yeah, no, exactly. And we do have some kind of checks that are happening as well, so that if it looks like the AIS data is off, then we can also account for that as well. So because it's true that sometimes and also you can lose AIS signal as well. So it's just one of the tools that we have. But we also have a support team that sits out there that helps support the vessels. So helps answer any questions that they might have and help follow up on these things as well. So
yeah, so it's definitely a service. It's not just a software product you buy. I guess it's
yeah, we have teams of experts sitting behind all of our solutions, ready to help when and where is needed.
Yeah, very good. Well, there's no questions on the board at the moment. I don't know if you want to say anything about clients or anything like that. I know a lot of it's secret, but I mean, you mentioned Falcon, so I guess I don't know if you developed this for them or they're one of many clients. I don't know if there's anything you want to say in public about who's actually using this so far. Or is it...
Yeah, so they're kind of, I guess, the main customer and our first one who kind of started with this integration. And then we're a very customer-oriented company, so we also listen to our customers. So if they ask, is something possible, then we will listen to them and we want to try and help make it possible. So, and yeah, we're very, very open to that. So.
Yeah, well, presumably this integration could go in multiple directions. I guess Nextvoyage could connect with other companies doing a similar thing, and Coach could connect with other companies working with data. I mean, that's where we want to see the world going, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, the Coach has been a great partner that way, and we've always been very open and honest with each other. Coach, we know, integrates with other voyage management systems, and we integrate with other vessel performance monitoring solutions. And I think that when I was mentioning what's really changed in 2025, I would say that one of the other big things that's changed in 2025 is just there are an increasing number of software companies who are saying, you know what, our clients' data is not only the data that exists in our system. We as software vendors have an increasing responsibility for kind of data enablement, integration enablement, ecosystem enablement. And I think at Nextvoyage, we take that really to heart, where we want to be kind of an ecosystem enabler. We want to reduce any kind of commercial barriers to integrations as much as possible. And we just want to let our clients' data flow in, flow out as necessary, because I think there's no value for me to hoard the data. I don't derive any benefit from that. And by enabling my clients to integrate into other solutions, I think that just makes the whole ecosystem significantly healthier. And that's where I want to see the world going. So there you go.
Yeah. Sometimes it seems like there's two models of the software industry: people who want to control everything and people who want to make it all as open and free and modular as possible.
Yeah.
I think so. That's where we're in. Yeah, well, that's great. Well, we're coming to the end now. I mean, maybe if you want to take a couple of minutes each to say, if you want to, what you want customers to do. Shall we go Jonathan first, and then Alexandra?
Sure. Yeah, no. So thank you, Carl, for hosting as well. This has been great, and thank you to Alex. I think you did a great presentation, and thank you to everyone who joined. If you are in the market for a voyage management system, if you are managing a freight book, please don't hesitate to reach out to Nextvoyage. We're more than happy to get you up and running as quickly as possible. That's really what we want to be doing in the market. So thank you again for taking your time to listen to us.
Yeah, Alexandra, any last words?
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, thank you so much for hosting, and also Jonathan as well for being a great presentation partner in this. Same thing, if anybody is interested in reporting products, in our optimization and our performance, we can provide service offerings individually or as a complete package. And yeah, please feel free to reach out to the Coach team for that. And yeah, we would also like to thank everybody for joining and for the questions as well. It's really great to get that engagement. So
very good. Well, I shall pass back to Farah for the closing words then. Cheers.
Thanks to our sponsors, Coach Solutions, and guest speakers, Alexandra Bielski from Coach Solutions and Jonathan McLean from Nextvoyage. Also, thank you to our audience for tuning in and participating. If you have any more questions, contact details will be sent to you with a link to this video on our YouTube channel. Our next webinar is in November with SEBA, which you can book for on our website and newsletters. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.